All right, guys. I don't know if you are out there yet. We're going to start officially at 7 o'clock, but we're just doing a little bit of testing. We're going to get a laptop going behind us. And as you guys come on, if you wouldn't mind just hitting a hi or a quick note to let us know you're there. And we're going to try to keep an eye on some questions as they come up and address those and save this at the end so we can go ahead and take a look. Hey, Delaney, you're the first one on. All we're doing, and Drake, we are going to wait a few minutes. We're going to officially start. You'll see Dave's behind me. We're going to officially start at 7 o'clock, but we're going to sign on from the laptop as well. So you guys just hang right on there. And I'm going here because I would imagine this is going to say, look up here. Let's see if I can find. You see anybody else coming on there?
Oh, yeah. There's all kinds of
activity. All right. Guys, if you're just joining us, we are just getting set up here for our 7 o'clock demo.
We're getting hearts.
Yeah, so hang with us. We're doing some testing,
there's more.
And we're getting a laptop coming up here. And we're going to try to make this as interactive as possible. Again, we're going to officially start at 7 o'clock, so if you have to take a bathroom break, grab some Cheetos, or whatever you want, go ahead and do that, because we're going to be signing on here really quickly. So, and if you're just joining, we are going to do a demonstration using gelatin. We're going to do it live. It's something a beginner can do without much training, and they'll succeed at the very beginning. But we're anxious to show that here to you. I'm trying to get on here, Dave, because I'm not seeing my... Guys, if you're just joining in now, we're pulling up here on the laptop as well. And we're going to have a laptop here, and we're going to be showing live and seeing where folks are coming in at. Can you guys hear us? Yep. Hey, Kelly, we see you there. Beth Turner. And everybody, we're glad to see that you're joining us. We hope that you can hear us. We see that there's 5 on, and we're not yet officially live. We're going to be live officially at 7 o'clock. I mean, we're live now, but we're going to go ahead and start our demo at 7. But if you guys just kind of hang with us for a few minutes here, we are really...
You're getting all kinds of people.
Yeah, we are really looking forward to showing you a demonstration here. And it looks like, really strangely, we see ourselves right here.
Here we are.
All right. So I think we are up. Again, I think the biggest challenge here is getting things set up, and we're here. We are under some really harsh lights, and what I figure is we'll kind of correct that as these weeks go by. For those of you who don't know what we're intending to do right here, we're intending to demonstrate some special effects makeup. We're going to do some paint. We're going to do some gelatin. We're going to do some latex. I do some wax. We had a guy who just joined in. Kyle had asked if we might do a face cast online, maybe his face cast, and that's a possibility if folks are interested in that. But we're going to go ahead and make this an interactive experience. It's strange to be doing this in our basement and having a lot of people watching, but we've done this enough to feel pretty comfortable in this setting as well. Can folks hear? You know, I'm seeing there, but I'm not seeing the comments over here. Can folks hear me? If you could give me a comment, make sure that you guys can hear where things are at. Joe, Beth, looks like everybody's here. We are very glad that you guys are joining us. We're going to officially go live at 7 o'clock, but I'm hoping that you guys can hear. If somebody can comment real quick and just say, yep, we can hear you fine, that would be great. So then we'll know that our sound is all right. And again, we'll work on lighting next time around, next Tuesday. The reason why we're doing it on Tuesday nights is because that's the night when things seem to be a little bit slow. It's also prior to now Sci-Fi's Game Face. So later on, those folks who are special effects folks can go ahead and watch Game Face on Sci-Fi Channel. But in the meantime, we're going to show you some of the things that I think are especially relevant for theater. It's October, so folks can get ready for Halloween and some October events. It can be used in many different ways, and we're going to be talking about that along the way as well. But strangely, if you guys just kind of hang with me, because we're going to pull down here and officially start at 7 o'clock, and that's just a few minutes. And in a few minutes at 7 o'clock, we're going to go ahead and get started right away. And according to internet time, we're about 3 minutes off. So we'll go from there. Those folks who, what we're going to do is save this at the end. We're going to go ahead and take a look and review and get some comments. Also take a look at your suggestions about what we might do in future weeks. And try to bring it all to you here between the rest of September and in October on Tuesdays. At Tuesdays at 7, we're going to do it at the same time every week for that reason, so folks can go ahead and sign in and maybe review the comments again later in the week. Hopefully find some time to practice some of these things that we're instructing, and sit back and maybe give your artistic talents a whirl to see if things can happen. If you see me keep looking off, I'm looking off at a computer screen, and actually what I'm going to do is just slightly turn. So I'm in, let's see if I'm going to be working on this side of Dave a little bit. Okay, I'm going to be kind of in and out. Perfect. Well, it looks like we are 2 minutes away. It looks like we are up live. I'm hoping you guys can hear me. And I am anxious to see a bunch of folks coming on. Beth Turner, good friends of ours. It looks like I think you might be tagging some folks so that they watch as well. I am anxious if anybody is casting this to their television. If you would let us know whether the projection sucks or whether it makes sense, how the sound is, just so we can try to work on that for the rest of the weeks. All right, I'm getting kind of hooked on this interactive experience, and of course, when I look over to the screen, it's delayed just a bit, but I'm looking here mainly for the comments. All right, we are getting really close here, and I like to be really prompt.
People jumping on here.
Yeah, I'm going to come in here close because I come here close. We got 14 people watching right now, and it's not even 7 o'clock. And Frank is, hey, Frank, how you doing? It's been a while since we saw you, Beast. And Patrick, we're glad you're there. We're going to try to make this interactive and try to share with you some cool techniques here. All right, I think that we might be down to a countdown right here at 7 o'clock. All right, we're going to officially start. Lisa, I'm glad you're there, and it looks like folks are joining. We're anxious to show you what's going on here. I'm going to introduce you to Dave. Dave's been a friend of the family for many, many years, and I sent him a text yesterday and said, hey, Dave, can you come over tomorrow at 7 and get and be a willing victim for some special effects? And he responded yes. All right, and in the meantime, what we're going to do is talk through what we're going to do. So, sitting here in your basement and in front of a light, knowing that there's people watching is a strange thing. But today what we're going to do is we're going to demonstrate using Knox Unflavored Gelatin, and probably most people who are 30 or over recognize this. You could buy this in the grocery store. And the reason why we're using Knox Unflavored Gelatin is it becomes a great special effects material. And I figured week 1 we'll do something that's really cool looking. We'll do something that has a really fast effect, and one that beginners can pick it up and have a really nice look right out of the gate. You can also, if you're going to be using latex often, you can also go online and buy a jar of industrial grade or food grade latex to be using over and over. You could use it in molds, but what we're doing is we're going to use the simple Knox Unflavored Gelatin. And I'm going to be talking about this forever, but hopefully, as you guys know, when you open this box up, what usually comes out are 3 or 4 packages. And as you guys see, it's kind of these just packages of unflavored gelatin. There's no sugar in this. If you were to try to pull out a jar of, or a box of Jello brand gelatin, and you were going to try to mix that up, hey Sherry, how you doing? And Zach Dot Schneider, good to see you too. Anyways, if you were to grab a box of regular Jell-O with sugar in it and try to use that, it's not going to set. It's not going to work. That's why we're using the Knox Unflavored Gelatin. All right, I'm going to step back, and if I'm kind of coming in and out of screen, I'll try to correct myself because I have my camera right in front of me, and I have a laptop back here. But we're going to go ahead and give this a whirl. Again, we're talking the Knox Unflavored Gelatin. The secret is to mix it warm. So I've got some hot water in a thermos next to me. It doesn't have to be boiling hot, and as a matter of fact, I wouldn't make it boiling hot. But when you use Knox Unflavored Gelatin, you want to mix it in small batches. You don't want to put, maybe 5 or 6 of these packages all at once. You want to maybe mix two packages at a time. So I'm just going to, I think I got a garbage can here. I'm going to just go ahead and mix some of this up. All right, 2 packages. And then I'm going to just get some of this hot water. Now, before I pour the hot water, because if you're mixing it warm and you want to, a couple things that I want to mention to you is, as you're mixing water with your gelatin, you want to go about 1 to 1. 1 part water to 1 part gelatin. Start off with less water and add more water as you go. Again, if you add too much water and you see it here in the cup, you're going to realize you have too much water. Just pour it out. But again, it's about 1 to 1. I like to use a spoon, because just a plastic spoon. You can go ahead and mix it. But as it starts to set in the cup, what you want to do is go ahead and start moving it pretty quickly. Again, once you mix the hot water into your gelatin, you've got a finite time to start mixing it. That's why we're mixing it in small batches. But before we do that, I'm going to just do I don't even know what I'm going to do here yet. And I think that might be kind of the magic of art. But I'm just using a little bit of Vaseline. This is Drug Marts, nothing but the best. I'm just going to put a little bit of Vaseline over Dave's eyebrows. I don't expect that I'll be going over this one. I think I'm going to work on this side of his face. And actually, what I'm going to do is I'm just keep your eye closed. I'm just going to put a little bit here. As a matter of fact, I'm kind of thinking that I might got a little bit of a sideburn. I think I'm going to probably cover this eye in that makeup demo. So, Dave, I hope you don't mind if we shut your left eye here for the next bit of time. All right. So I went ahead and used Vaseline down on the eyebrow. I'm going to pull a little bit of cotton out. I'm going to use this in the demo. I'm going to put let's use cotton batting. This is what you can buy this at Packetans or any type of fabric store. This is the cotton, the natural cotton that they use inside of quilts. And so I'm just going to take a quick look here before I mix my gelatin. Yeah, I think that I'm going to use this. I'm going to use a second piece. But, matter of fact, I'm going to leave that here just for a quick moment. And then I'm going to go ahead and mix my gelatin. Remember, for those who are joining me here after we talked about it, I'm using Knox Unflavored Gelatin. You guys might recognize the box. I'm mixing small batches of gelatin. I'm just going two little packets. I'm going to mix hot water about 1 to 1. Again, I've done this long enough where I'm pretty comfortable with it. But as you're using it for the first time, you might find that this mix is going to be kind of an important thing. I don't know if anybody can actually see this, but I'm just giving it a mix. There's a little bit of water kind of floating on top. So as I'm putting in this mix, I'm going to go ahead and pour this little excess water out here to the garbage can. All right. All right, so the trick is to make sure you mix that powder up. I'm going to go ahead and put my finger in it, because as soon as it starts to set, we're going to start spreading it right here on Dave's face. It's warm, but it's not going to be anything that burns the skin. Again, that's an important piece with makeup. Is they're probably the only rules to follow are safety rules. Outside of that, you can kind of make things up as you go along. All right, you take that off just for a moment, Dave. I'm gonna actually. How's that feel?
It's a little warm.
All right. I'm just using this back of the spoon. I'm using gelatin. As you see, there's nothing magical about it. I'm just kind of spreading on his face. This is getting a little bit sticky. And then I'm going to grab this piece of tissue, or actually this cotton. I'm going to place it right there, and then I'm going to go ahead and cover it back up. As you'll see, I'm getting a little bit stringy here, which means it's time to start spraying it on. All right. Again, just kind of getting it on the face. I'm going to use Dave's anatomy here to create kind of a cool look. And I'm just going to kind of pull it over this cotton that we have in place. Hopefully folks can hear me, but if you can't hear me, you'll be able to see kind of what I'm doing. This is going to be just a quick demonstration here using gelatin. As a matter of fact, Dave, if you would just hold this for me real quick. I'm going to grab, and I am an advocate of having your model hold things as you're doing makeup. I'm going to actually put a couple, I don't know, maybe tufts of cotton here just to give a little bit of texture to his skin as we're doing this makeup. And I'd imagine that we're still probably setting up here. So we're going to get it out of the container. We're going to get it onto his face. Again, you guys will experience success right out of the gate using this stuff. It's really super easy. It's the reason why I'm kind of showing it week 1. I'm lucky because I don't have to be very nimble here as I'm multitasking here on week 1. But again, I'm just going to go ahead and put this gelatin right over top of this cotton. I'm going to kind of get it out. I'm going to maybe do one more kind of little piece. Here I'm going to use maybe a little tool to help sculpt around that eye. Again, you'll see that the 2 packets with the water, again, we went about 1-to-1 gelatin to water. That we have a pretty good coverage here. I'm just going to go ahead and start scraping the rest of it out of there and get it on his face. All right. As this thing is starting to set, you can see if I don't know, maybe you can or maybe you can't see, but it's getting really sticky. And so if I want to, I can start pulling it. You'll see it kind of spider webs. This is going to give us some textures to our look. I'm also going to pull and try to give a nice weird feel right here across the eye too. So Dave can feel it. It does feel sort of like skin. It looks like skin, and I'm just giving it some texture here as we're just creating a pretty simple special effect. All right. And as we do this, very often you kind of let the material create your look. And so the topography that we're creating with this gelatin and this cotton is going to be what we're going to paint. And it's actually, as we're kind of just putting down this structure, the painting is where the makeup really comes out. And we're going to turn Dave around so you can see that. So, Dave, before, I'm going to actually have you stand up and just walk closer to the camera there so they can see maybe what's going on. And while you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and sign back on the computer so I can see comments as they're occurring. All right, is everybody out there? Hopefully you can hear me. All right, Dave, I'm going to go ahead and pull you back here. Again, you'll see that what I used were just 2 packets of gelatin. And we are, let me see how many people we have online. Looks like we have, I should get my glasses, 21 people as we're demonstrating this. So what I'm going to do again, we went ahead, used the cotton, we used the gelatin, the Knox Unflavored Gelatin, and we just attached it down. This stuff is, gelatin that we eat, so it's okay for ingesting. But I'm just going to use this, this spatula, and I'm going to just try to give a little bit of a, kind of spread it out here right about the eye. I'm not using the pointed end, I'm just using the dull end, kind of create this this look. Again, for those folks who are just tuning in, right now we're creating a special effects structure when, I'm kind of opening this up, it's going to have a gross look, I would imagine, but folks might say, when would you use gelatin? You can use this as a kind of a special effects skinning agent. You can go ahead and spread it over an entire head. If you're using a bald cap and you want to add some texture, you can add it with gelatin. It's a great way to create a skin. It's a great way to create gore effects. I used it on a Red Cross disaster simulation. We did that. It was an airplane crash where they were training a bunch of paramedics and medical professional, and we used gelatin in that training as well. So great way to create effects quick. You can make it gory if you'd like to. That's but we're just demonstrating for the sake of trying to give some folks some confidence in using the material. All right, so we use the Knox Unflavored Gelatin. For those of you who are kind of tuning in, you guys probably remember this box. Perhaps there's even a box of this up in your cupboards now. We're using this for the sake of demonstration. For those of you who want to get technical, this gelatin is fine for our use. What we also find is if and this has what's called a lower bloom. A lower bloom means a lower flexibility, stretchability of it. If folks wanted to use this more like a Hollywood attempt, they wouldn't go with Knox flavored gelatin. They'd buy a gelatin online that has a higher bloom for better for using in molds and for maybe more Hollywood look. But this works pretty good. And as a matter of fact, I use this almost exclusively because it's fast, it's cheap, and it's portable at the same time. All right, so what I'm going to do is, I'm not seeing comments here, but I see comments coming up across the phone. So if you're realizing and you're like, Roger, are you seeing what I'm writing? I don't have my reading glasses on, so I'm missing it right now, but I'll catch up with it later. Okay, so we went ahead and let me make sure that this, yeah, so I'm just tapping my hand here to make sure that the gelatin is kind of dried. Kind of used an opening there about the eyes. I'm gonna elongate that because that's going to be an important thing for me. Again, when you're doing special effects, I say there are few rules, but the rules that there are would be safety rules, and so that's what you'll hear over the next several weeks as I'm kind of demonstrating, and that is, you don't want to poke the eye out of your poor model who's sitting helplessly and blindly in a chair. But I'm going to go ahead and use the tail end of this paintbrush to kind of just spread this open a little bit, because I want a little bit of painting structure that'll look like a swollen eye as we get in there a little bit further. All right, I think that's about where we need it. Anyways, so we use the gelatin. The next thing that you need to do is get some liquid latex. You can buy liquid latex online, of course. You can buy it at most Halloween shops. If there is a makeup shop near your home, then you can buy it. I know that there's several folks that I buy it from here locally. I buy it from the makeup store, Chom Prezell. I buy it from Monster Makers. I also buy it from Screamland Studios. Depending upon where I'm at and how fast I need it, and the quantities determine where I get it. But again, even if you went to a Halloween store, you could buy some liquid latex. There's all kinds of different latex products. There's high ammonia used for masks. There's low ammonia. But whatever you buy, if you're using it on somebody's skin, you'll want to probably buy a more low ammonia gelatin. Oh, I'm sorry, latex. What I'm doing here is I'm just going to coat it. There's nothing magical about this. Just taking the latex and going to coat over that layer of gelatin that we just laid down on Dave's face. We're doing this to put a barrier over the gelatin, because what we want is this thing to be durable if you wanted to wear it for a long period of time. If he was going to wear it overnight or to a party or in a production, we want to make sure that this thing stayed pliable. So this layer of latex is important in that. Latex will not come out of clothes. It is difficult to get out of hair. So if you tuned in late, You may have seen that I used a little bit of Vaseline to put over Dave's eyebrow just in case it poked out. But I'm not going to go ahead and dab it in his hair because he'd have a miserable time trying to separate it. So keep liquid latex out of your hair. Keep it off your clothing. Keep it off out of your mustache, out of your beard. It also is a great type of bonding agent if you're creating things for costuming. Liquid latex has some phenomenal uses, and we're going to talk about liquid latex in another episode there as well. I see that we've got some folks joining in. Nadine, how are you? Jackie, Sherry, of course. Sherry might be the next model. Maybe we'll do a carry demonstration with Sherry. And we'll talk about the differences in blood, or maybe not. Oh, by the way, we are going to be, even though we're kind of doing some special effects, this is going to be family friendly. So if you've got kids, if they're freaked out at stuff, maybe not. But we're not going to be cussing or swearing or doing any of that here. This is to demonstrate the use of special effects and maybe inspire even some kiddos, some high school students perhaps, to go ahead and pick up the medium. And right now with body painting and everything, face painting, special effects, face off, game off, this is pretty popular. So we want to make sure that we provided some of this knowledge to you. All right, so we were talked about the first step was to apply gelatin on top of Dave's face. We used some cotton to provide some different textures to cover his eye. Then we used liquid latex to just pour some in a cup and just dabbed it in with a sponge. If you don't have these makeup sponges, you could use a wadded up paper towel, and you could just use that. If you're using latex in a paintbrush, make sure that, and I actually used this at a demonstration this past week, make sure that you use a release agent, and Dawn detergent is a great release agent. So when I'm talking about this is, if you're going to use a paintbrush in your latex, make sure you dip your paintbrush into the Dawn. Knead that Dawn liquid through the bristles to make sure that it's well covered. And then you can go ahead and use your brushes into the latex. If you're doing that, and I do it all the time, what you want to do is just grab your paintbrush, squeeze out the latex maybe every 15 minutes, reset that agent. But a lot of special effects makeup artists freak out because they can't use their brushes. Well, you can, as long as you use that release agent. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at this. I'm going to go ahead and tap it. As a matter of fact, I think I might have just missed a little bit on this one edge. So I'm going to just tack it down here. Make sure we just get a nice coat of latex over this gelatin. All right. If we were going with a disaster simulation like I did with the Red Cross, we'd be using a lot of gelatin. We'd be using all kinds of stretches and creating a bunch of crevices with the material. It's great for burn effects. It's great for gore effects. It's great for a skinning agent at the same time. All right, so we did step 1, gelatin, about 1-to-1, 2 packs of gelatin, about 2 parts water. We went ahead and used cotton, which I use cotton batting all the time. You can use cotton balls if you're wanting to create effect as well. You're going to go ahead and mix the water hot, not too hot for the model's face. Do not scald your model with the hot gelatin. Then once it sets up, you're going to go ahead and put a skinning agent, or you're going to go ahead and just coat it with liquid latex to make sure it stays pliable. Again, I'm not endorsing officially or unofficially any products. I use Maran latex. Most of what I use, if you use the larger, more popular names, are pretty good. Again, I use Monster Makers, Screamline, some of the local guys here from Cleveland, Ohio. I use their latex as well. I'm going to go ahead and sign back on here, and then we're going to do some painting. And when the painting of this appliance is where it comes to life. A lot of times people are like, I don't really see it. But it's when you start adding color that the look comes out. And I'm going to have Dave get down and step closer to the camera now and then so you guys can go ahead and see what that looks like. All right, sign it back onto the computer. Folks might be interested in where I was first introduced to special effects. It was actually quite accidental. I was volunteering with the Lions Club at a haunted house, and we were all volunteers, and I wanted to, as an artist, I just wanted to master the medium of makeup. Again, I don't do beauty makeup. I don't know how to do it. It has a lot of similarities, but I am into special effects makeup. From the more simple effects, and I love painting, to the very complicated effects, life casting, appliance making, and applying from there. But so it was way back in the very early 90s, 90, 91, 92, that I really cut my teeth and learned effects from some great teachers. And that's where I started. And so now it's 27, 28 years later. And after working on some films, working on some instructional DVDs, working on theater, working in Halloween events and stuff like that, I've learned a lot of these kind of easier and more complicated mediums. All right, so I believe I was going to use a hairdryer. You can use a hairdryer if the latex isn't drying quick enough, and that'll go ahead and dry it out. But as I kind of just tap around here, it looks pretty good. What I'm going to do actually is I'm going to use just a little bit of powder. This is not something, but this is kind of a shortcut for our demonstration to get quite a bit of color on pretty quickly. If you're using makeup powders, it's a little bit goes a long way. All I'm going to do is powder down a little bit, and going to use some grease paints, my bruise wheel, to kind of paint down as well. Just going to kind of hit these edges a little bit. All right. Got the edges covered. All right, I'm going to use some grease paint. I'm going to use just a tone that looks similar to Dave's. I've got a couple different options here. This one looks probably pretty close. Let me see. All right, I think I'm going to use this lighter one, then we'll darken up with the bruise wheel as we paint. All I'm doing is getting another makeup sponge. Again, you can go ahead and apply this with your hands as well. And all I'm doing is going to give a little bit of flesh tone here. I'm not going to cover everything because I'm going to paint some of that other area. But I'm going to go ahead and spread it over the appliance that we just created and down over the skin. So you kind of hide those edges. And if you were in my position right here, you'd see that the topography of the gelatin we created is starting to kind of come out here. Knowing how I'm going to paint this, I'm not going to cover it all with this flesh tone, but I want to go ahead and give it a nice natural feel. As I recently heard a good description, and that is from a friend of mine, Matt, who we did some demonstration this past weekend. I too like to stay in the kind of the flesh realm to keep makeup more flesh tone and more natural like, as opposed to going crazy red, green. I like to stay in the flesh tones. I think it has a natural feel to it. All right, so again, all I'm doing is just patting this to give it a bit of a natural feel. And then I'm going to grab a bruise wheel. I'm going to kind of paint into that. For the sake of the demonstration today, we're just using this gelatin. We're not going to create a huge full face or full headpiece. We're just going to go ahead and do this simple demonstration. I think for those of you who have been watching all along, you probably have realized that this looks pretty easy. And I'd like to tell you that I am such a talented person that most people don't possess this talent, but it's not true. It is really easy, and it's for those folks who just kind of want to pick it up and do it, they can go ahead and do it. So what I'm going to do is I have a bruise wheel. This one happens to be a Maron bruise wheel. I'm going to come up here close. For those of you, my high school teacher taught me the color wheel. This has kind of some different colors in it You guys can see it. It's got yellow, green, it's got red, it's got like a purple, not a black, and then a dark red. If you were going to be a makeup artist, I suggest investing in a bruise wheel early on. This one's kind of a big one because grease paint goes a long ways. You don't need a bruise wheel this big. If you want to buy the smaller one, you can do that as well. Again, this has a bunch of different colors. You'll see they all have some crazy looking ones. Midnight Sky, Burnt Maroon, Bloody Rose, Spanish Olive, and Amaze Yellow. But I'm just using this bruise wheel. Again, if you're looking to open a case, this is kind of a must-have in your makeup case. All right, I'm going to go ahead and just use some different colors. I like to use the back of my hand. So if I pull out some colors, I like to use the back of my hand as a little palette. Otherwise, we end up putting more grease paint on the face and the appliance than we want. But I'm just going to go ahead and kind of randomize this painting because the topography is already there. I'm just kind of using what's here. I don't have to recreate anything, although you could. You go in there and paint some shapes that might not naturally be there. I'm going to use some purple, some darker colors in these recessed areas. And I'm going to use some of the lighter colors as we get back to the top. As you remember, we had kind of this weird eye that I kind of pushed out, if you guys remember. And you see how this is kind of coming to life a little bit? Because as soon as you start to put just a little bit of paint on the appliance, it's crazy how it just kind of takes on a life and takes on a whole different look. But again, I'm just using a bruise wheel. I'm using the darker colors to kind of give this this first look, and then I'll kind of bring my lighter colors up as I'm painting this this appliance. In just a moment, I'm going to have Dave kind of come down, but I kind of really like with that eye slit that I created. This, if you were Rocky, you might be saying, "Yo, Adrian," right now.
Yo, Adrian! Yo!
Or Mick. Cut it, Mick.
Cut it, Mick! Cut me! Cut me!
So, you guys can see why I chose Dave for the first round, because he is not shy and he's not scared to ham it up, and those are the kind of models that you choose. All right, so you'll see I'm kind of randomizing my painting. Our skin is random. If you watch, if you're a painter, if you do airbrush, if you watch Face Off and get to know some of these techniques, you'll see a lot of artists use a toothbrush, and they'll load that toothbrush with a little bit of paint, and they'll just kind of splatter, give a splatter effect. I kind of try to create that in the painting process by doing some dabbing and just kind of have it randomized. If it's too symmetrical and it's too regular, it takes on an unnatural look. So I think that if you have kind of the hand of a child and you just kind of dab it on there, you'd be really happy with your outcome. As my high school, I have no idea whether my high school teacher is joining. She may, because we're friends on Facebook. But she used to say, "Keep it simple, stupid, kiss." And even from those early high school years, I try to apply that even into the makeup and what we're doing here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and add some of this darker reds just to kind of blend out on the top. These are kind of boil-like feel. Let me go ahead and quicken things up here. I don't even know what time it is because I don't have a watch and I'm not close enough. What do we got, Dave? 7:30. So we're about a half hour in. You'll see if I was just straight out working this and not talking through it and not lollygagging, this is a fact that can be done in, maybe 20 minutes and have a pretty nice look. I'm going to bring some of this color off onto his skin. It'll kind of hide the edge. Oop, want to make sure you use the back of your hand as a palette because you don't want to get too much paint on the appliance too soon. And I'm going to actually add a little bit of yellows to give it kind of a weird deadened feeling. Gelatin, even when it has this latex over the top, has a kind of a translucent skin feel. So it has, it's really cool. and I encourage you guys to give it a try again. I just used 2 packs of gelatin. If we were covering his entire head, I might use a box or so, or a couple boxes. But for sake of demonstration, this is a quick effect. Mothers, as you're kind of thinking about what your sons or your daughters want to do for Halloween makeup, this is definitely a cool one, and one that is going to make you look like a hero. As a matter of fact, in a short period of time, you could probably really become a master of it and do everybody in the neighborhood. Have a Halloween party and do gelatin effects on everybody. Again, not anything terribly complicated. By the time that this ends up, you guys are going to be really tired of hearing my voice, because as I've done demos for quite some time, I've learned how to ramble. And you'll be hearing me ramble on Tuesdays at 7 for the next several weeks. All right. How does that feel, Dave?
It feels wild. It feels like it's like a scar. Like the appliance has become really a part of my head and my flesh. It's there, but yet I don't feel it. So it's kind of wild.
All right. So for the sake of demonstration, I'm just going to kind of wrap things up here. I'm going to get a little bit of flesh. I just used one brush, not anything fancy. If you are a makeup artist or you're looking to invest in a basic makeup kit, latex, some gelatin, invest in your brushes. Keep them clean, because they will last you for decades. This is just a regular paintbrush, but it's a smaller one, and it's got kind of that wedge edge, so I like it for painting. But I'm going to go ahead and pull out some of these flesh tones. I'm going to kind of finish out my painting. Remember, use the back of your hand as a palette. I don't know if you guys can see me. You're like, what the heck is he doing? I'm taking loading my brush up with the grease paint, and I'm just kind of using my hand as a palette to make sure that I'm not over painting the appliance. That'll make it look really cheesy. If that's the look that you want, then go straight for it. And I chose to use grease paint because it has a nice blending technique. It's what I enjoy using with gelatin and latex appliances. You could use other stuff. The one thing that I didn't talk about is that you can pre-color your latex. So if you wanted to, you could paint it kind of a flesh tone and color the latex ahead of time. If you wanted to color that latex with a gray or a green or a blue, you could go ahead and do that as well. I'm going to add just a couple last touches. I'm going to go ahead and powder, and I'm going to have Dave step closer to you guys so you get kind of a last look at this makeup. All right, he has kind of this eye slit thing going on. It was with great purpose that I did that. Am I blocking? And in person here, it's looking pretty nasty, and this might feel very boxer-like as I'm doing it, and sometimes the makeup will kind of create a look of its own. Sometimes you go with it, and this kind of has as you guys heard before, kind of a Rocky Balboa feeling to it, a boxer feeling, and if maybe a Colin, McGregor feeling here if you were tuning into the big fight a few weeks ago. All right, I'm just gonna finish this out. I appreciate you guys staying with me. I'm hoping that over time we'll go ahead and have a number of these videos that you can jump on my page and grab down and do some of that stuff, use it as a reference later on. That was the whole intention behind it. Again, I had a number of folks that just said, why don't you do this on video? And I did videos back in the 90s. I did DVDs in the early 2000s. But right now, everything is live and digital, so now we're on to a whole new medium. We've got 17 viewers. I have a lot of friends. Thank you for supporting me. There's family out there as well. I think my mom said she's going to try to actually get on Facebook and watch us, but I haven't seen her name pop up. But we're going to go ahead and finish powdering this, and then we're going to bring it in closer. We'll call it a night. We'll talk about actually getting out of it as well. All right, so I'm going to use just a little bit of this flesh powder to kind of finish it out and just kind of blend out the edges. A quick shortcut is baby powder on this. It's going to give you a little bit of a lighter color, but it will seal. And but it does in a pinch, and I use it all the time. Again, you know, don't be breathing that stuff in. Make sure you get it on a brush and go from there. Folks will ask, well, you know, where do I get supplies? Go online, you know, go to your local place, but it is really cool because Amazon, you can buy pretty much anything that you'll need to make up your special effects makeup kit and maybe be the next Hollywood star. All right, so last thing, because I always suggest that we use it sparingly, but it's something that I think is a necessary piece. Oh, look, this is delayed. All right. I'm gonna use just a little bit of thicker blood. I'm just gonna put it in that eye, and I'm just gonna dab it. Every special effects makeup artist has some ideas and some preferences, and they talk about the blood. Sometimes mix their own, and I always use it sparingly. But I'm gonna use a little bit in this gross, kind of eye area, just to give it a little bit of a wet feel. We're not going to cover everything, and we'll give it just because if this were kind of an MMA fighter, it's kind of what it's feeling like. Got to add a little bit of color, a little bit of that to kind of finish it off. It gives it some shine. Again, anywhere that you go, you're going to find these thick bloods. I am not necessarily endorsing, but I'm going to tell you what's in my kit. I have the cheap stuff, and I also have a nice thick blood. Those of you who look at it, you do not need a jar this big unless you use it all the time. I don't use it all the time, and I probably overbought it. But if you buy a small container of thick blood, here's a smaller container here. If you buy a small container like this will last you for a long time. If you aspire to do special effects for some time. So again, what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of do a quick talk through and review. And that is that we started with Knox Unflavored Gelatin. We opened the box. We only used 2 packages. We went ahead and opened up 2 packages, shook it down, put it into a cup. We went ahead and added hot water, not so hot that it would burn your model, but hot enough to go ahead and melt the gelatin. Going about 1 to 1, 1 part gelatin to 1 part water. As you're mixing it, you'll know if you have too much water, pour some of it out. Better to stay light than to go too heavy on that water. Once you have that water and gelatin mix and it starts to get sticky, you start to apply it on your model's face. Once it starts to get sticky, you have a short period of time, so get it on there fast. I applied some cotton batting. I used some cotton balls to get some texture, and that's a great thing to use along with gelatin. Once I kind of stuck the gelatin in, I went and put a second skin over the gelatin, over the cotton. Went in, sealed it with liquid latex, and then used the bruise wheel and some grease paints to paint it, and then just powdered it at the very end so it has a nice kind of skin feel to it. Dave, if you would turn your head this way a bit. I don't know if you could see that. I'm going to actually have him come down here. You guys see that? Yeah, Dave, come on in there close. Let's kind of see what that looks like. All right, what we're going to do is again, the liquid latex you want to keep out of here, but this cleans up really fast. The liquid latex, as long as it's not in here, will remove. You'll just pull it right off of your skin. If you do have grease paint on your face, you'll need a grease-based remover. That grease-based remover will remove it right away. A baby wipe, some people say Pond's cold cream, I've never used that, but a grease-based remover or a baby wipe is going to be the quickest way to get this off and the easiest way to clean up as well. And with that, as Dave, as you kind of look around here, If anybody has any comments there, we're going to just keep it on for about another 30 seconds. Start shooting some of those questions. Well, maybe we'll actually keep it on for a couple minutes if there's questions coming through. And we'll answer those. I'm going to get down here. All right, Tuesdays at 7 with Roger Miller. Remember that. Thank you, Beth Turner. Sherry, we're glad that you joined us. Looks like that we've had between, 15 and 20 or 20-some. Some people may have signed in and signed back out. Greg Zamborski is watching. Jackie, Nadine, let me see. I'm going to actually put on my glasses because I'm an old guy and I see better with these. All right. Oh, Nina, great model. You know Dave from the Art Exchange. And Dave is a good, funny model from Nadine. Rob Gura, thank you for joining us. We're kind of coming near the end. And we do not have older videos. This is the first one. And we're going to keep them going, at least for now. Kyle is a young up-and-comer. You'll see him in all kinds of stuff. But he said that witch hazel works good to blend the edges of witch hazel works good to blend the edges of gelatin. Excellent. Leslie, thank you for your comment. Mike, I don't think I've seen you for like 30 years. I'm glad you joined. Dave Duarte, I'm glad that you joined here and are watching. Again, on Tuesdays at 7 o'clock, we're going to do special effects. For no other reason than just trying to pass it on. We may be doing some hair. Maybe we'll use Dave to do some hair. Maybe we'll do a werewolf on Dave. We had a request for doing a life cast. We've used this, the gelatin. Can you guys see all right there? I see Dave Duarte says, look good. What about makeup remover wipes? You know, Sherry, that will take grease paint off, certainly. Yes, and Brittany, who is a beautiful new bride, she did an old man. We did an old man on her quite some time. Oh, Beth Turner is requesting making teeth. We can certainly consider that. Making teeth, we do that all the time whenever we're creating characters for plays, creating characters for anything else. We can, that can be daunting and it can be simple at the same time. So Beth, thank you for that, that suggestion. Brian, are you just joining now? I have one of my work companions just coming in, I think. But what we did is we did a kind of an effect using Knox Unflavored Gelatin. We created kind of an MMA effect, you know, kind of a swollen eye. I'm afraid that my camera doesn't catch the color great. Oh, Dave Duarte suggests sock masks. Nina, the time on Tuesdays is going to be 7 o'clock. We did it 7 o'clock for with great purpose. One is because Face Off and Game Off usually come after that. I think Game Off, which is a sci-fi makeup program, is on it. I think it's at 9 o'clock here Eastern Standard Time. So Tuesdays at 7. Hey, did anybody cast to their television? If you cast, let me know, because I'm wondering, you know, if this is actually going to work. This is just my phone on a tripod. And then we got a light here. You can see those shadows. So I'm going to do some shadow. But anyways, Nina, Tuesdays at 7 o'clock. We're going to be here through the rest of September. We're going to run through the rest of October. We'll kind of see where things are at that point. Maybe we'll even talk about some things outside of makeup. Maybe we'll talk about other art and other mediums. Jennifer, we're sorry you were driving, but we're glad you're here now. But what you'll get do is, if I can figure out how to save this, we're going to go ahead and save it so you guys can refer back to it. And you could perhaps tag a friend or something so that they may watch in the future. I know there's some haunts here. Some of our good friends up at the Haunted Hydro. We have some folks down from the Scaratorium. And maybe you guys can use this with some of your folks as well. All right. Oh, Jennifer, you've been watching the whole time. Good. Hopefully you didn't use up all your data. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and sign off. Dave, are you going to wear this, or you just want to take it off?
Take it off. If you want to do a removal.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I'm not even going to get fancy with it. I'm just going to let Dave pull it off so you'll see that. But before you do that, let's give Dave a mirror. I put duct tape over the handle of my mirrors because it said Revlon, and I didn't want to look poofy, so I'm going to go ahead and give that to Dave. He can see it here, but doesn't give the same effect. Hopefully you guys have learned something. Hopefully you are feeling blood prison. There's somebody as well from another haunt. So thank you for joining us. And
this looks legit. I'm looking at it, and it just, where's the pain? But it looks like I've been in a horrible accident. It's totally legit. Wow.
And wearing it is really comfortable too. The only possible drawback that I would say is that if you're working under some really hot lights, it tends to get soft. If you're running around and you're in a hot environment, you're in heavy costume, possible that thing can start dripping down. That's a negative. And it smells a little bit. If you're wearing it thick, it's just unflavored gelatin. If you ever made jigglers or used it before, you know that smell we're talking about. And if you're an actor and have used it, then you can see that too. It looks like Nina just asked for a close-up. So Dave, I don't know if you can, let me get we kind of have a mobile light here. Oh, you look at that. So I'm off screen, flashing the light on Dave. So I'm going to come over here, Dave, so you can see. Can you guys see that all right? So again, just for the sake of trying to give a MMA feel, you can go ahead and enjoy that look. I'm going to go ahead and put this down. Nina, does that work for you? Did you get a good look at that? I hope. All right. And I think that's it. Thank you guys for joining. Oh, we're going to rip this thing off. So, Dave, you just go ahead and pull on it. So the folks see the gelatin is real pliable. It feels very skin-like. I put a layer of Vaseline over his eyebrow, so as planned, it went ahead and spread really fast. You're going to see that it's a pretty quick release. Folks will ask if, so you can see he cleaned off really fast. So if you're doing this on a kid, you don't have to worry about them screaming and crying when you're taking it off. This is gelatin and water. And so when you're using gelatin and water, this will dry out. So for those folks that say, oh, can I use this a second night? It's unlikely. If you coated the back of it with latex, you might get a second rough wear to it. But it's unlikely. You can mix gelatin with glycerin and sorbitol. They use that in Hollywood to make appliances, and you can go ahead and use that and reuse those appliances. You can buy those already mixed up gelatin cubes online. I would suggest just buying the components and doing it yourself. Again, gelatin has many different ideas and applications, and we just used a simple, quick one today. So we're going to go ahead and review this. Keep an eye out. I'll make an announcement during the week what next Tuesday will look like. Who knows? Only time will tell. All right, folks, thank you. It's going to take me a few minutes. Thanks, Nadine, for the kind words, and Jennifer, Duarte, we appreciate it. Everybody who signed in, all 18 of you right now, you guys are great. God bless. I'm going to go ahead and slowly log out to see if I can, and Beth, I hope that you send Bob our love as well. Hope that the Monster Make-Off, the last competition, went well. And that is a great event up in the Fremont area. We're going to slowly sign off so we save this. So if we look awkwardly fumbling around here in front of my phone screen, you know why. All right, guys. Thanks again. All right, Dave. It says, good one. First one.
Yeah.
All right. Click finish. All right, guys. Good night.